Rod McKenzie, Managing Director of Policy at the Road Haulage Association, is with me now. Hello, Rod.
Hello, morning, how are you?
Been a nice, easy start at Dover. I was talking to Doug Bannister, the Chief Executive, but there's nobody around yet.
Well, it has been quiet, but it always is 1st, 2nd, 3rd of January because nobody trades then. Because how logistics works is that everybody gets all their stock in for Christmas, lots of stockpiles in warehouses and so forth, and then eventually that starts to run down. And business picks up every year, nothing to do with Brexit, every year around about 4th, 5th, 6th of January, and that's what we'll see later this week.
Okay, so you're really going to start kicking in. How much extra paperwork is there going to be for most, because that translates into time. Time is money. Goods go up in price. I mean, and it's a kind of a slow process. What are you expecting, Rod?
You're absolutely right, Andrew. I mean, it is a mountain of paperwork that we've never had to do before because we've traded frictionless in the past. And companies are saying this is very onerous. They're finding it quite. The forms are quite complex. You've got to do lots of different, enter lots of different bits of data, and you've got to get it all through the IT system, and then you've got to get effectively an instruction to move your lorry, and then you need a Kent access permit to get into Kent.
I saw that.
And at the moment, you also need a COVID test, which is valid for 72 hours, because the French are insisting on that. And some of the vehicles that have been turned back in the first few days of the new year have been because the drivers haven't had valid COVID tests. So all these things add to delays, cost, as you say, and difficulties. And we haven't really started yet.
No, and so it is going to take 4 or 5 months for this all to bed in. But this is all infinitely better than the situation could have been, because right now we could be not talking about COVID, vaccines, children in schools or anything. We could have been talking about a queue that stretched from Dover to the Midlands in the event of no deal.
Well, actually, it could have been like that, but the difference between deal and no deal was just about tariffs and quotas. So we're very glad there is a deal. But what we might get instead of visible queues like we had before Christmas is invisible queues. And what I mean by that is if you haven't done your paperwork, if your driver hasn't had his COVID test, you will not be able to leave, the lorry will not leave the depot or the loading centre or wherever it's got to go from. And of course, those are queues you can't see, but they do affect the supply chain because it means the lorry isn't moving. And that's one of the big unknowns that we're facing. So not so much queues around Dover, but more queues elsewhere back at depot.
Yeah, we'll continue to monitor it, and we hope we speak again. Rod McKenzie, Managing Director of Policy at the Road Haulage Association.